Hi everyone, welcome back. My name is Mel Magalhães. I'm the content lead at The Next Big Idea, and we are here with one more interview powered by the European Investment Fund. And with me now I have Alexandre Barbosa from Faber. Alexandre, thank you very much
Yeah,
for
thank you for
joining
having
us.
me.
And to the first question is actually we have had here some VCs. What is the position of Faber in terms of the startup ecosystem, the areas that you bet on, and please tell me a little bit about your story and what you're seeing.
No, of course, and thank you so much for having us. It's a pleasure to join you today. We've been around for a few years, and Faber has been building a very consistent brand of being, the initial investor in deep tech startups.
Yeah.
That means, with the jargon of the industry, we are specialists in seed stage deep tech. We love to partner with entrepreneurial teams and founding teams that are applying science to solving large industry problems. In our case, we have two thematic funds that focus on the two major ecosystems of innovation that we decided to pursue. One is AI and machine learning powered digital transformation, the other being decarbonization and climate action through our impact fund. In the case of AI and data, the thematic fund is led by a specialist team. Unlike many other generalist VCs, we chose to adopt a specialist approach. That means that we consistently invest in the same type of companies. And we have been fortunate along the way that many of the founding teams that started developing or applying AI to solving some of the industry problems chose us as either their first investor or one of their earliest investors in that case. From a thematic perspective, our thesis is very clear. Our main focus is on Southern Europe, across Iberia. We do have investments across Europe, mainly in Germany and in other countries across Europe, also bridging, the UK, the US to Iberia, and having Portugal as a very strong anchor of operating engineering teams. And from an industry perspective, if you look at our portfolio, historically, we were, first investor in a company like Unbabel, or, we joined another local VC in the first seed round of Codacy. We were the first institutional investor in Seeders that got acquired by Republic. We were the earliest investor, at sort of PowerPoint stage in a company called Enjoy HQ, acquired by UserZoom in the US. And with our latest AI-focused funds, we were fortunate to be chosen by a handful of companies in the healthcare space, so applying science and AI to improve the way healthcare is provided. Illustrations like Sword Health, a very mature company now, very successfully scaling their digital physiotherapy technologies. Luminate Medical, iLove, applying photonics to complex diseases, Aptrace. Those are companies that clearly form our interests in the healthcare space. Fuel, energy efficiency and energy transition in the climate space is clearly something that has been interesting us. ANEA is clearly an illustration of a company that is, applying deep science to the renewables efficiency. We have recently invested in a company that is a spin-off out of the supercomputing center in Barcelona called Mitiga, developing physical and risk modeling techniques to assess climate risk and mitigate natural hazards in terms of risk management. And in terms of manufacturing and automation, it's clearly, the heavy lifting of industrial manufacturing is something that really interests us. We've been, an early investor in SmartX from the north, applying computer vision to, detecting defects in the textile industry. And so many of these companies are, the evidence of the entrepreneurial driving force of talented researchers or very, talented teams that are developing novel IP. And applying those technologies to solving very large problems at industry stage. You can either be a generalist as a VC. Faber has been playing a relevant role in consolidating our lead position as the go-to team at seed stage in deep tech. And after our first ticket investment in these teams, typically at stages where they have to demonstrate going to from lab to markets, or the initial pilots with certain customers, they have successfully then raised, as of today, around 300 million in subsequent funding from multiple investors, be it later stage investors like our peers in Portugal or Spain, or across Europe or the US.
Yeah, and you are here in the name because you were one of the fund associated with the AI ventures was in partnership with the Portugal Tech. Can you guide me through what was kind of once the IEF launched this call? What was kind of the process of partnering with the European Investment Fund, and what do you believe were the features that the IEF saw in your day-to-day operations? That you already told me a lot in this initial investment, that you were able to track companies that were working with tech and that had this huge potential. But what do you believe were within Faber the factors that led for the partnership to Portugal Tech to become so successful and to be happening still today?
Well, the fact is that a few years ago, when we started to build a relationship with the European investment funds, our thesis was that over the following decades, innovative technologies would become more and more complex. There's a larger depth of technology in startups applying, science to real-world problems. And for a VC at seed stage to be able to partner with such, scientific, talented teams, you really have to understand the technology. You have to understand what it takes to go from a project to really, launch commercially and then build a company around that product. That's why we chose to specialize our thesis around, machine learning, data infrastructure, all things data and AI. A few years ago, we started presenting our way of thinking about that opportunity space to the EIF. And for us to be one of the select managers within Portugal Tech was super important, because it helped us, anchor the funds, attract other private investors. Most of our additional investors are, European, and a few from the US, institutional investors, family offices, funds of funds, and other private investors that trusted the process of the European Investment Fund and understood that the way to partner with very early stage startups in deep tech requires a certain specialty. Unlike other VCs, we have scientists in residence who work together with us in reviewing the science side of startups whenever we consider opportunities for investing. But most importantly, they help us in providing support to our portfolio companies, be it in reaching out to the right talents in terms of the key people to be hired at early stage, or advising our portfolio companies in terms of product roadmap, or helping them prepare to iterate the business model until they are ready for the next stage of funding, which is one of the crucial tracks where we help our founders.
2023 was a particularly hard year for startups that were looking for investment, as well for VCs that were trying to apply the money and the capital that had in the best way possible. But there was a silver lining, which is projects that were in AI and that were able to showcase the benefits that they were bringing, no matter the integration where the industry where they were trying to integrate the technology, they were able to, in most cases, be the ones that were getting some investment rounds. How do you look at 2024 from the Faber perspective, and from the potential that a fund that it's already specialized and as AI and data as its main focus, as to support startups that produce projects and technologies in this area?
Well, I have to say, when we look at our current pipeline of potential opportunities to invest in the future, and new talent, new teams coming up, we are very optimistic about the future. We've never seen as many opportunities to invest as we're seeing as of today. We review north of 2,000 companies per year. And when we look at the different hubs, be it in Portugal, Spain, and across Europe, there's two technology horizons that drive our investments motivation. One is the shorter term, efficiency, productivity increase, transparency, intelligence across value chains that are brought to vertical applications of machine learning and AI. And then to a longer term perspective, deep tech areas like synthetic biology or computational advancements, robotics. Those are areas that blended with software are really hard to pull off as a startup. So it becomes very hard to build those companies. But when you crack the formula, then you witness the birth of a very successful company. What we've seen this year was, a reset of expectations around how easy or how hard it is to not only build a company but also fund the company with the right type of capital. In our case, we've been always betting on a very consistent pace of investments. We are super focused in terms of themes of investment, but also very disciplined in terms of portfolio construction. And so we've been very consistently and steadily keeping up our investments. This year, we've done 7 investments so far, a couple of new investments plus follow-on investments to help our portfolio grow and develop. To give you a sense, the role that we play that also drove the way the EIF, wanted to work with us is, more than 2/3 of our first investments in portfolio companies have been lead investments where we take the lead in, leading a round of investment and then building the right syndicates around those rounds of investments. And what we are seeing today and what we see for 2024 is not only a reset of expectations, but also a separation of what really is only a perception of novelty and creativity and innovation, just because everybody wants to invest in AI, to really understand the science behind the products. And so if you dive deep and if you understand the science behind the products, you look at our portfolio, and one of the reasons why we're so optimistic is that the vast majority of our portfolio companies is investing heavily on building very relevant assets in terms of IP. In terms of talented teams, and we invested in almost all of our portfolio companies at the first moment pre-revenue. That's how risky it is to invest at our stage. And as of today, the vast majority, if not all of our portfolio companies, are already generating commercial traction. Okay. And so that is, an illustration of what our support is to portfolio companies and how much it takes to, really invest into product development and only then launch commercially. I think, as a final note, when we look at 2024, we expect the funding environment to continue to be challenging. But what we're seeing is, despite all the volatility of the markets, the right talent with the right product, with the right business model, with the right differentiation is always successful in raising capital. And we see super talented teams either being born out of Portugal or extending their founding teams to Portugal to benefit from the local infrastructure and then successfully raising their scale-up rounds either from European VCs, growth stage, or US VCs. And our role is to help them get off the ground, position them in the right trajectory, and expose them to the right commercial markets and to the right types of investors.
Alexandre, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me again.
If you want to learn more about Faber, please go to their website to find what they are looking for. Please stick with us for the coming interviews. It was a pleasure. See you soon.